Artyom, Lisa and Sasha arrived at an abandoned village that Artyom had heard about from his grandmother. The place had disappeared from maps back in Soviet times, but satellite images showed the wreckage of houses and a large swamp that seemed to have swallowed part of the village. "This place sucks," Lisa grumbled, looking around. "They say people used to disappear here," Sasha added excitedly. They settled in the only surviving house that belonged to Matvey's grandfather. The old man was taciturn, but when the friends talked about the swamp, his gaze became heavy. "You don't go into the pit," he said quietly. "What pit?" Artyom asked. "Over there, behind the trees. They say that's where the missing scream." But the friends did not listen. In the night, Artyom woke up to a strange sound. In the distance, behind the trees, someone was quietly calling, "Artyom, Artyom." The sound came from the swamp. It woke Sasha and Lisa, and they heard it too. "It's the wind," said Lisa in a whisper. "And if not," replied Sasha, already pulling on his boots. They set off toward the swamp. The moonlight shone through the black trees, and water squelched under their feet. When they came closer, Artyom saw a figure reflected in the water, tall, elongated, with a shapeless face. "What is this?" he started, but suddenly the figure turned. The shadows parted, and the friends saw a human face. It was familiar. "It's me," Artyom exhaled. The figure smiled and jumped straight at him. Artyom fell into the water, but Sasha and Lisa pulled him out. He was conscious, but something had changed in his eyes. "We have to get away," Lisa whispered. But Artyom didn't move. He stared into the darkness of the swamp, as if listening to something invisible. Grandfather Matvey met them on the doorstep. He immediately understood. "You can hear him, can you?" he asked. Artyom nodded slowly. "It chose you." That night Artyom couldn't sleep. He heard the whispering, "Come to me, come back." And then from the window he saw himself, standing by the swamp. The next day the friends decided to leave, but when Lisa and Sasha packed their things, Artyom was already gone. They ran to the swamp and saw footprints. Artyom stood at the water's edge. "Artyom, stop," shouted Lisa. But he had already stepped forward. He disappeared into the swamp, and the water closed over him. "Vent, vent," Sasha rushed after him, but Lisa held him back. Laughter came from the water, and then a whisper, "Artyom, Artyom," and he went back out. But something was wrong. Artyom's face changed. The eyes were not his. His lips slowly stretched into a smile. "It's okay, eyes," he said. "We don't need to leave anymore." Kirill moved into a new apartment, small but cozy. The only thing that confused him was the huge window in the bedroom, which looked out into the courtyard of an old high-rise building. The first night he woke up with a strange sensation, like someone was watching. He slowly turned his head and saw a dark figure outside the window. But he lived on the 9th floor. He blinked and the figure disappeared. It was just a dream. He mumbled and fell asleep again. The next evening, checking his mail, Kirill found a strange letter. No return address. "You're looking out the window." "It's looking too." His heart hammered harder. He brushed it off, but in the night the figure reappeared. This time she stood closer. In its silhouette, hands and a featureless face were guessable. Kirill scrambled out of bed, ran to the window. No one. He decided to take a picture of the view outside the window. On the screen of his phone, The figure was still there. Kirill tried to ignore the strangeness, but every night it drew closer. After a few days, it was already touching the glass. And then there was a quiet knock. Knock, knock. Then, Kirill Franzi. The phone screen lit up with a new message. Do not open. He slowly looked up. The figure was already standing in the room. Neighbors later said that they heard Kirill screaming. When the police broke into the apartment, its door was locked from the inside. Kirill was gone. There were black prints on the window glass, and they found another letter in the mailbox. Now it's looking at you. Students move into an old dormitory building that used to be used as a barracks. On the first floor, there is a boarded-up door with a sign above it. Room 13. They say a student disappeared there in the 80s. Katya whispers. It's nonsense. Dennis dismisses it. But Nastya stares at the door for too long. At night, someone scrambles outside the door of room 13. Probably rats. Roman rolls his eyes. But in the morning, there are scratches on the door. Someone writes in chalk, open. They decide to check. But the door won't budge. And then Dennis does something stupid. He puts his eye through the keyhole. He sees something white. Probably fabric or wallpaper. He mutters. But the next day they look again. Now the eye is there. Nastya can't sleep. Every night muffled blows come from room 13. Dennis decides to set the phone in front of the door to record. In the morning they watch the video. In the footage, the room opens by itself. And a face peeks out of the darkness. And a whisper, one of you is mine now. Roman offers to move out, but Dennis insists on finding out what's going on. They decide to break into the room. But when they go inside, it's empty. Only in the middle is an old mattress and a mirror. Katya goes to the mirror and sees 4 people. But there are only 3 in the room. The 4th is standing behind them. Katya turns around, there's no one there. But then, the light goes out. Screaming. When it comes back on, Roman has disappeared. A sign appears on the mirror. Now there are 4 of us again. The next day, the building is closed for repairs. Room 13 is boarded up again. And there are scratches on the door. Open. Andrei was returning from work when his car stalled near a small abandoned village. No gasoline, no communication. On an empty street is an old phone booth. Surprisingly, it works. Andrei picks up the receiver, and he hears his own voice. Don't go into the house with the red roof. He abruptly hangs up the phone. But in the distance, among the shabby huts, he sees a house with a red roof. Andrei finds Marina, the only one who agrees to talk to him. You shouldn't have picked up the phone, she whispers. Why not? If you answered, now they know you're here. But Andrei doesn't listen and walks towards the house with the red roof. Inside is perfect order, as if someone has just left. On the table is an old telephone. It rings. Andrei picks it up slowly. You didn't make it. Andrei rushes to the door, but it is locked. The phone rings again. Through the noise of the interference he hears, turn around. Andrei turns around. In the mirror he sees himself, but without a face. The darkness thickens, the ringing becomes more piercing. And a voice, now you will stay here. Marina is waiting for Andrei by the road, but he does not return. Soon his car is found, but without the driver. and in the phone booth someone left a note. The next call is for you. The booth rings. Marina turns around and slowly kicks up the phone.